Hey guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some underhyped books that I love that I want everybody else to read as well. So I have 5 books to talk about today, and just a little disclaimer, I guess. Some of them aren't necessarily underhyped. I've seen people talk about these books, but I just think that they should be talked about more, and I haven't seen enough people talk about them. Some of them I've seen more on book Twitter than I've seen on booktube, so I just thought that I would bring your attention to them in case you haven't heard of them, because they're definitely not ones that people talk about all the time. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is probably the one that I've heard the most about, but it's one of my favorites, so I thought that I would mention it anyways, just really quickly, and that is Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. This is a really cute, fun summer contemporary. We follow our main character Bailey, who is obsessed with old movies, and she makes an online friend who is just as obsessed with them as she is, and he actually lives in California where her dad lives, and he keeps asking her to you should come and visit. There's this old festival thing where we can watch an old movie together, it'll be great, and she's really hesitant, doesn't really want to do that, but she ends up moving to California to live with her dad, and she doesn't tell this boy, she doesn't tell him, but she's kind of making it her mission to scout him out and try to find him before she tells him, and she only knows him by Alex, but that's not his real name, so she has no idea what his real name is, where he is, so she just has to go off clues that he's kind of dropped in emails. But while all of this is happening, she gets a summer job at a museum, and she ends up butting heads with her coworker Porter, and she may end up developing a crush on him, and she has to decide, do I like Porter, what do I tell Alex? And it's just this really fun story. It's a pretty predictable, cliche story, but it's so adorable. You can't help but swoon over these characters and their relationship, and it's just the perfect summer read. And as we're going into summer here, it's the perfect book to just jump into. So I know that I have seen people talk about this, so people have read this book and talked about it. Like I said, it is probably one of the more popular ones out of these 5 books that I have up for today, but I love this book, and I definitely think that it deserves more hype. I definitely think that you should pick this book up if you like contemporaries, fun summer romances. It's just a really fun time, so I definitely recommend this one. And the next book is a rather new release that came out a few months ago, and that is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This one I actually just recently purchased and read literally right away. I got it in the day of I started to read it, and I finished it the next day. You guys haven't even seen me talk about this book or haul this book or anything, but you will hear more of my actual thoughts on it during my May wrap up. But I loved this book. So this one is a loose Grease retelling. It's inspired by Grease, so there are some nods to Grease throughout this entire book, which I adored so much because I love Grease, if you didn't know, and so I really enjoyed all the little Grease hints throughout this entire book. So we follow Ollie and Will. So they have this cute summer romance. Ollie is staying in a cabin for the summer. Him and his family are visiting his aunt who is sick with cancer. As far as he knows, at the end of the summer he is going back home, and as far as Will knows, he is going back to school, which is just a little whiles away from where this cabin place is that they're staying. And they have this whirlwind summer romance, and it's perfect, their perfect little bubble. But then at the end of summer, after they say goodbye, Ollie finds out that he's actually staying, and he's going to be going to school here because things are getting really serious with his aunt. They want to be there for family, and so he finds out that he's going to be staying. So then Ollie is trying to get a hold of Will to let him know, but he's not responding to his text, and he's like, did I just imagine all of this? Did this actually happen? Then Ollie goes to school, and he finds out that Will goes to the same school. And so he finds Will, and he has no idea, and Will turns out to be quite a different person at school than Ollie met over summer. And it's just a beautiful story. That was a really long-winded, messy description. I've never tried to describe this book before, but it's such a good book. This is just a really short, fun book. Like I said, I literally read it so quickly. And it was just a really interesting story. It pulled at my heartstrings multiple times. I nearly cried at one part, and the romance was really cute. I liked that it was flawed. You could tell that the romance was flawed, the characters were flawed, and I really enjoyed that. It wasn't just a perfect romance. There were flaws and conflicts between them, and like I said, I enjoyed all of the Grease nods. So if you like Grease, I recommend this one. If you want a gay love story, I recommend this one. I really enjoyed this book, so I highly, highly recommend it if you're looking for just a fun, quick, contemporary Grease inspired. It's really, really fun. Okay, so the next book I read back in 2018, and this one is a bit of a hard hitter, book. The next three are kind of all hard-hitting on different levels, but Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake, this is the other one that is relatively popular, I guess, but I also haven't heard many people talk about it. So it's basically about our main character Mara, and she has a twin brother named Owen, and one day one of her best friends comes up to her and she finds out that her brother Owen has raped her friend. It kind of like shatters her entire world, and the book is all kind of about her trying to come to terms with the fact that her brother could do something like that, while also like trying to be there for her friend and just being like confused all around. And it's really, really sad, but I feel like it's an important book to read, and it's also about her rediscovering things about herself that maybe she shoved down a little bit and tried to ignore and forget, which I feel like it was really, really sad. And I really want to give this book a reread and just re-experience it all, because it's been 2 years now since I've read it almost, and I just remember it being such like a quick but impactful and heartbreaking story, and I'd really like to reread it. One of the like main things I feel like is so good about this book is Mara never really doubts her friend. She never like truly thinks that her friend is lying about her brother. The story is more about her trying to be there for her friend and coming to terms with the fact that her brother could do something like that. Like not understanding how he could have done that, like the person that she knows and is so close with could do something like that, but she never thinks that he didn't do it. Like she never distrusts her friend over that just because she's close to him, and it's I don't know, it's a really complex story. So obviously trigger warnings for sexual assault, and I'm sure there are more, but it's been a long time since I've read this book, so I can't remember them all, but definitely trigger warning for sexual assault. So if you're not in a place where you can read this book, if that's going to be too hard for you to read, then don't pick this up, because I think that it could be harmful to you. But if you're in a place where you think that you can handle this kind of subject matter, then I definitely do recommend it. I think it's a really important story that everyone should read if they can read it. I just think that this book should be talked about more, because I feel like stories about sexual assault and rape that are like this, where the person who's been raped is being supported and not made out to be a liar, I think is really, really important, especially with that dynamic where it's her brother who did the raping, and it was really, really good. So I definitely recommend this one. I tabbed it a lot. There's quite a few blue tabs in here, and like I said, I really want to reread this one. Maybe this year, I don't know, but I really love this book, and I do think that it deserves a lot more hype than it gets. And the next book is another one that I have heard people talk about. I think I heard Emma Books talk about it once, but it is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Another real heartbreaker, pulling at the heart, all of the heartstrings. It's so emotional. We basically follow our main character Claudia. Her best friend's name is Monday, and she comes home from like the summer thing, I think. Like she just comes home from something when she's been away for a while, and Monday is nowhere to be found. She doesn't know where Monday is. Monday isn't responding to any of her calls or anything, and she's just confused. Where is Monday? And she tells a bunch of people, like, I can't find Monday, do you know where she is? And nobody seems to care that Monday is missing except for Claudia. Claudia is the only one that is wondering where she is and is actively trying to find her. Nobody else cares. This whole story is kind of about her dealing with the fact that her best friend is no longer around, and the fact that she doesn't know where she went or where she is. Nobody's telling her anything, nobody cares. So it's the story of her trying to find her best friend, and it's told in kind of like dual timeline, well, multiple timelines. That's the only thing that I don't love about this book, is it's kind of confusing the way that it's formatted. So it'll say like the before, which makes sense, but then there's things like 1 year before the before, and it's just kind of confusing. But it didn't like impact my reading experience at all. This book is such a strong and impactful read, and I know I keep saying that, but it's such an impactful read. I think what makes books like this 10 times more heartbreaking than it already is knowing that things like this really happen in real life. Stories like this are somebody's reality, and that just breaks my heart into a million pieces, that people have actually gone through this. Like, this isn't just like a fictional problem, this is a real problem. And this book, like, I could see the ending coming from like nearly a mile away, not exactly in the way that it happened, but I knew something had happened, and it was just, so heartbreaking. This is another one that I want to read, but I know that it's just going to break my heart again. But despite its length, it was also quite a quick read. Like, I just wanted to keep reading and find out what happened. And it's, like, you really feel for Claudia, and knowing that she is friendless because her only friend is somehow missing and nobody cares. And like I can't even imagine, like if my best friend were to go missing and nobody else cared, I would literally go insane just trying to find them and trying to figure out what happened and wondering why nobody cares. And I definitely recommend this book, again, if you can handle it. All books should come with trigger warnings because I don't have the memory to let you know. It doesn't say what the trigger warnings are, but from my memory I know there's like abuse. That's all I can remember. I'm sure there are more, but I can't remember. But definitely the big one is physical abuse, so just keep that in mind. But this book was emotional, but like I said with Girl Made of Stars, if you can handle the subject matter of missing people and death and abuse, then I do think that you should pick this book up because it's a heartbreaker. And the final book is The Love and Lies of Roxanne Ali by Sabina Khan. This is a book that I don't know if I've heard anybody talk about, maybe one or two people, but this book I feel like is so under the radar, and the only reason that I knew about it was because I was on, I think it was Facebook, and an event popped up on my page for this author because she was doing a launch party at my local chapters, and that is how I found out about this book. And I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting, I would love to meet her, go to this launch party. So I went, and that is how I found out about this book, and I read it last year and I fell in love with it. It's not like a favorite, like I'm not gonna put it in like a favorite books of all time list, but I really enjoyed this book. So this story is about Roxanne Ali, and she is a closeted lesbian. She can't come out to her parents because they're very conservative Muslims, and she's afraid that they're gonna like disown her or not love her anymore. So she doesn't come out to them as being a lesbian, but she has a girlfriend named Ariana, and one day her mom walks in on her making out with her girlfriend, and it kind of spirals out of control. But her mom tells her after this incident that they need to go to Bangladesh because her grandma is sick. So she whisks her away to Bangladesh to be with her family, and turns out that her mom has some ulterior motives for bringing her to Bangladesh, and she's not allowed to go home. She is there to be put into an arranged marriage with a man to kind of like get the gay out of her, essentially. I feel like overall this book isn't terribly like hard-hitting or sad, but there's definitely hard-hitting themes obviously within this book, and I definitely nearly cried or did cry at a part, I can't remember. I just remember this book being so powerful, and it felt so important, and it felt, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And it's obviously, like I said, a female book, and it's just her kind of coming to terms with the sexuality and trying to get her parents to understand her, and try to not, like, her parents trying to make her change, and she's trying to make them understand that she doesn't need to change, that they do. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really good book. I definitely recommend that you read it. So I hope you guys are interested in this one as well, because this one is, I think, the one that I'm most upset about on this list that isn't more hyped, because I definitely think that it deserves it. The writing was good, the story was good, loved the characters, and I honestly think that more people should read this book. If you're looking for a female romance, this one is it. If you're looking for a book with a Muslim main character, this is it. I definitely recommend this book. It is so good. Sandia Menon blurbed it, so you know it's good. So yeah, if this one sounds at all interesting to you, I definitely recommend this one as well. But there's also a trigger warning for sexual assault. It's not like a huge part of the story, but there are mentions of sexual assault, and I think that there is, if I remember correctly, there's like a reminiscing over a sexual assault in like a bit of details, not like graphic detail, but they definitely talk about it. So again, if you can't handle hearing or reading about sexual assault, maybe skip this one, or, you know, just prepare yourself to know that it's coming. But this book, like I said, powerful, strong, so good. Loved these characters, so I definitely recommend it. So those are all of the underhyped books I'm going to be talking about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe got a new book recommendation out of it, because I love all these books and I want you all to read them too. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these and if you also think they're underhyped. And also let me know if you are now planning on reading any of these, because I'd really love to know, and like I said, I really want you guys to read these books. Subscribe if you've not yet already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!